The largest military invasion. The Normandy invasion came after the balance of military power tilted in favor of the Allied forces over the Axis powers, leading to the liberation of France and Western Europe from Nazi control and advancing towards Berlin, marking the beginning of the end of the Nazi nightmare that plagued Europe. It was the Normandy landing. Stay tuned for the conclusion.
In 1939, the Second World War erupted as Germany, like a rampaging beast, occupied neighboring countries, and the Nazi army swept through everything in its path, achieving remarkable victories on all fronts. However, the Nazi dream of dominating Europe was not realized due to catastrophic mistakes made by the Axis powers as a result of well-executed devilish plans by British intelligence to involve the United States and shift the tide in favor of the Allies, who decided it was time for the offensive phase and began planning and preparing to defeat Germany. Through a brilliant intelligence deception, a spy named M.E.T. managed to deceive Germany and make them believe that the Allied invasion would target Sardinia, not Sicily. The Allied leaders landed in Sicily with a hurricane, opening new fronts in southern Italy. Meanwhile, the situation shifted in favor of the Soviets after the Battle of Stalingrad, and the Soviets advanced in Ukraine and Poland, encouraging local resistance movements in Poland, Hungary, and Greece to actively join the fight against Germany and its allies. The prolonged war and the terrible loss of lives and property created disillusionment within the public opinion in Europe and the United States, which worried the Allies and prompted them to take decisive steps to end the raging war. June 6, 1944. The D-Day was a pivotal day in Europe's history, meticulously planned and kept secret from Nazi Germany despite the massive buildup of troops and equipment across the Atlantic. Thanks to the elaborate military deception to confuse Germany about the location and timing of the invasion, General Dwight D. Eisenhower led the Normandy invasion, codenamed Operation Overlord, also known as D-Day. He appointed British General Bernard Montgomery as his deputy. The Allied forces mobilized millions of soldiers, 300,000 tanks, and military vehicles, stationing them in Britain in preparation for the decisive operations. The soldiers underwent intensive and diverse training for the impending invasion. The attack plans were kept highly confidential, and the Allies employed numerous tactics and methods to execute feints, including decoy equipment and a phantom army led by General Georges Patton, double agents, deceptive radio transmissions, and elaborate intelligence deceptions. All this was done to deceive Germany into believing that the Allies would invade through the nearest French coast to England, namely Pas d'Alec. German intelligence fell for the bait, and Hitler ordered the concentration of all major defenses in Calais. He hesitated in requesting armored divisions to assist in the defense, believing that the invasion was a diversion to distract them from a northern Seine River attack. This delay caused reinforcements to arrive from distant areas, stalling their response. The largest amphibious invasion in history was now at hand, and the Allies approached Normandy. How would the confrontation between the Germans and the Allied forces unfold? Stay tuned for the events on the night of June 6. Thousands of paratroopers and glider troops landed under the cover of darkness on the 6 invasion beaches as part of the initial phase codenamed Neptune, securing bridges and exits. The paratroopers engaged in direct combat with the German forces, catching them by surprise. Nevertheless, fierce battles ensued, resulting in a significant loss of life on both sides. The amphibious landings began at 6:30 a.m. under dense air cover. The British and Canadians overcame light resistance to seize the beach's code, named Gold, Juno, and Sword, just as the Americans did at Utah Beach. The American forces faced intense resistance at Omaha Beach, where more than 2,000 soldiers perished. By the end of the day, approximately 156,000 Allied troops had successfully stormed the Normandy beaches. The bloody day claimed the lives of over 4,000 Allied soldiers, with many more wounded or missing, according to some estimates. Less than a week later, on June 11, the Normandy beaches were fully secured, and nearly 856,000 men and 150,000 vehicles were landed in Normandy, ready to continue their advance across France. By the end of August 1944, the Allies reached the river Seine, liberating Paris and driving the Germans out of northwestern France. The Normandy campaign had come to its conclusion. As the Allies advanced, the Germans realized it was the beginning of the end and began to retreat and flee, despite their fierce resistance. The Allied forces advanced from the west and south toward Berlin, while the Soviets swept in from the east, and Germany eventually surrendered unconditionally on May 7, 1945. We hope you enjoyed the content.